Jai Hind listeners, we again come back to you now with a new format. We were calling it MRO Digest Forum Stories. In our stories format, we are inviting people with rich experience in MRO field to share with us some of the stories which can tell us more about their wisdom. Our first guest in this format is Major General K Eswaran, who is a veteran of many years experience, and he has done a lot of seminal work in building of, as he calls it, moral infrastructure. So now I invite General Eswaran to tell us some gems, some wisdom in the form of a story which he did during his service. General Eswaran.
Thank you, sir, and thanks for giving me this opportunity. I would like to share a very interesting story, and which may give impetus to many industries. And especially, I've been always focusing on developing the moral infrastructure. Whenever you move into any organization as a head, like we in the army or civil, anywhere we do, we generally focus on the physical part because that is very much visible, and say a little bit in the mental part. In the physical part, you change this, you change that, you paint or you make some constructions and all that. And the mental part, you focus on some training focus and all that. And that's the end of it. And then that is something you can portray to people, you can show to people. But the third part, internal part, which we generally miss out. And I personally always felt that for a person to be good, a good human being has to be not only physically strong or mentally alert, but also morally straight. So that has been my attitude. And I always been focusing more on the internal part. So coming on to that, when I had an opportunity to look after a large industrial setup, there are about 2,000 people. Most of them were civilians and some about 5 to 6 unions were also there. So initially I had some issues of, and it's not an easy task to complete, control such a large number. And there were several issues in that factory about, people, petty thefts are there and people are not working, like to work. And they were trying to sleep off the time, pass off time. And like people used to, wrap around copper wires around them and try to walk off. There's so many things, small thefts, physical thefts, and also kind of mental theft. Even if somebody is not working during his time and trying to come late and go early, that is also kind of a theft because you're doing shortchanging the organization by not working full time. So there were some issues of basically character, I must say. So I had to think about it, how to handle this distribution. So while during my, we used to have regular monthly talks with the entire, all workers, which I used to talk to them every month. So in that, I should gradually tell them small stories and incidents and give them some, moral lecture kind of a thing to be on the straight path. And that could have helped them to some extent. Yes. But then it struck on to me that why not introduce something more which people can think about it and talk about it. It will revolutionize their feelings and for the factory. So I thought of introducing a award, character and competence award. As I said earlier, person has to be physically fit, mentally fit, and also morally straight. So this was initially not accepted by my own staff. In fact, some of the senior officers in the organization also felt that this such award will not pay any dividend. But I insisted on it, and there were some people, the few people who did not agree to it, but many of them generally liked the idea. And I also spoke to the union leaders that this is what I plan to do. So they generally had agreed. They didn't know what it is. But when I explained to them a little bit, they took on. So what we did was we made a standard operating procedure kind of a thing and made some rules and regulation to select shortlist people who are very sincere. And there were about 10 to 15 rules in that. Checkpoints, I must say, about his punctuality, how does he work, and how does he behave, and how was his mannerisms, and what is the work output. So many things we had made about a list of 10, 15 points. And based on that, we plan to shortlist about 10 and select 3 out of that. So now this was not a one-way selection. We carried out a 360-degree evaluation. That is, the seniors and supervisors gave points on workers. The colleagues and the peers also gave point on each other. And also the juniors of that person younger to him. How does he treat his younger? So it was a holistic evaluation of a person. So imagine how difficult it is. So once this evaluation was done, we out of the 2,000 people, initially we shortlisted, say, top 10. And we were really very happy to see the top 10 people who were selected were really good. They were really very sincere people. And then we carried out an interview by the top management. In fact, I interviewed each and every one of them. And my general managers also interviewed to give them points. And it was so touching when I interviewed them, what do you feel about this award? And if you don't get, what do you feel about it? The things, the points emerged, sir, I am working today absolutely selfless. I am totally satisfied. I got enough salary and enough, I got a family, I got my roti, kapda, makan, everything is in place. And I'm very happy. And today, if I am working with a pure selfless attitude for the factory. And I want the factory to do well. And that kind of a thing which came, which again surprised me, that we have such gems in the organization who are working selflessly. Really very impressive. And in fact, I wanted to give awards to all 10 of them, but she couldn't do it. So finally, out of that, based on the various marks which we are given, we shortlisted and we gave 3 silver plaques, pure silver plaque. It was not silver coated, of course, because it was all about integrity and transparency. We gave pure silver plaques. And it was, of course, a huge function. And in that, we gave 3 silver plaques. And I also honored the balance 7 of them all. So it was fine. Now it was a talk of the factory for several months together. In fact, the union leaders came to me one by one and said, this is something which has never been done before, really remarkable, and the workers are really motivated. And they are so happy that the honest and hardworking people have been recognized. Otherwise, in any organization or any school and college, if you see, people get awards for becoming first in the class, people get award for winning a race, but people never get any award for being honest or sincere in this approach. So this thing is something they really appreciated. But as far as the head of the organization is concerned, that I am there, I was very happy that over the period of next few months and a year, I found that issues of minor petty thefts, etc., which used to happen, had really come down. People had realized, yes, there is somebody or the organization who is respecting honest people and sincere and people who are trustworthy. Trust is very, very important. And the work culture also improved. And when they saw that, yes, trustworthy people are being valued and recognized, they started coming on time, they started working, and they were not shirking away the job. And that kind of thing gradually happened. I know it will take a time, maybe 1 year more, it'll 1 or 2 years, it should go on. At least that thing was started. So what I actually want to say is, this experiment of ours really worked. And I was also satisfied. And it not only, of course, this was conducted only at the worker level. I did not extend to the officer class. We had about 30, 40 officers class also there. We did not extend to that. And the best part is, I must share today, that because of this experiment on the workers, the officer lot also had a awakening, self-realization. And some of the laggers also improved a lot. So overall, there was so much of positivity in the organization and the factory that I was really very happy. So I find this experiment to be very good. Anything you would like to ask, you may ask, sir.
Well, I would say that if you could just, in a short point, 2, 3 points you should give as to what are the main lessons which you drew out of this, which can benefit the people who are viewing this particular or listening to us today.
Yeah. So out of the experiment which I gained, one of the first few points is you're building trust. The one way to build trust, and a person being trustworthy. And that motivates others also. It is like spreading a positive virus, like we had the coronavirus. coronavirus a negative virus. So he's sending a positive virus of integrity, value system, and trust. So that is very important. And the other advantage is that, as I said, that people start coming on time, people start being getting punctual, and all the petty thefts, etc., was reduced because of this. And people were very sincere in their approach. And when they speak and they started keeping their promise, like, there's something known as the emotional bank account. If they promise something, they should deliver. Like a particular production line is there, and because of the trust which was getting developed, they used to promise by the due date, not that they say that the job will be done on so and so date and then they delay it. So all those things also came down. So overall efficiency and effectiveness of the factory also enhanced.
Thank you very much, General Eswaran. Listeners, you have just heard this very wise story, which was done by General Eswaran during his career, and I'm sure many of you will benefit from what he has said, and you may be able to draw lessons for yourself and practice them in your organizations and make your organizations even better uh, in the future. With that, we come to the end of this first episode of Stories, brought to you by the MRO Digest Forums community. We look forward to bringing more such stories to you. Thank you very much for listening. Jai Hind.